calming down your mind is the easiest way to do with breathing, because it's difficult to manage your mind when you're stressed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Masterclass by President Summit, where we will address principles for mastering your mind and developing your team. With us today, we have none other than four-time world freediving champion and best-selling author, Stig Severinsen. Thank you so much for being here, Stig. It's a real pleasure. I know Stig's tuning in from Mexico, so we're all in all parts of the world today. And please do let us know in the chat section where you're from. My name is Frederick. I'm the CEO of President Summit, and I am very, very pleased to once again welcome you to another episode of this President Summit Global Masterclass series. The format is, as always, an hour. Stig has a presentation for us, which will last roughly around 20 minutes. After that, we will open up for Q&A. So any questions you might have, please address them in the Q&A section, and we will try to address as many of them along this webinar. And in the handout section, you can actually also download a free ebook of Stig. It's under the handout section. We'll send it to you in an email afterwards as well. But in case you want to download it already, go ahead. Stig has placed that one there for you guys, and it comes in multiple languages, so it's super easy for everyone, and everyone should read this, but it's easy for everyone to read. I'm very, very excited. We've welcomed Stig previously at President Summit last year in 2019, and because we're so fond of Stig and because we're so thrilled to have him with us once again, we will be launching a little special offer for you guys later, which I will get back to after Stig's fantastic presentation. But enough from my end. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's amazing to see Portugal, Denmark, all over the world. Stig, I gave a brief introduction, but please feel free to share a bit more about yourself and then take it away from there. I have my notebook ready and I am very, very excited.
Thank you very much, Frederick, for this wonderful presentation. I'm honored and thrilled to be here today, and I hope to bring my mission out to everyone listening in. How breathing can be optimized so you can focus your mind and develop your team. So I'll speak less about myself and my freediving career. That is something people can read online or see on YouTube. I think it's better that we get to the meat and potatoes and give people some practical tools, because that's what Breatheology is all about. It's about implementing things that are simplistic and very tangible. Not so much mumbo jumbo. So I think it's better I jump right in. But very briefly, I can say I hold a master's degree in biology, a PhD in medicine. I'm a four-time freediving world champion, as you already said. I was the first to hold my breath more than 20 minutes in the world. And in Breatheology, my team and I were simply totally passionate about sharing what our amazing body can do. So everyone tuning in, I salute you, I welcome you, and I can promise you that this lecture, if you listen, will be life-changing. And that is not something I say lightly. If you do just a few of the things that I tell you today, I know your life will change for the better. It sounds like a miracle, but it actually is. It's the miracle of life. So I think we should just start. And again, I appreciate everyone for being here. It's fabulous to see, Angelica Christie from the Bahamas that I met so many years ago in Newport. I saw people from Bahamas, from Italy, from Hong Kong. It is truly a global summit. So welcome everyone to this Earth Global Family Lecture. As you might know, my name is Stig Severinsen, and today we're talking about mastering your mind and developing your team. Now, how do we go about that? And Frederick, you got to fill me in here. Are you going to push the slides? Maybe that's easier, so I don't have to touch and things.
Absolutely.
There we go.
I will touch it. No worries.
The computer's going to blow up. I'm not very technical, so I think you're much better at this. I love it. Thank you so much. Why is conscious breathing important? I should almost say paramount for a healthy life. That is the first question that was promised to be answered today in your presentation to the President Summit, in the material that was sent out. And I think it's a very, very important question to address. Those of you who might have read the book can answer, but I want all of you to comment here in the comment section. How many times do you, and I'm talking straight to you out there, whatever country you're from, how many times do you breathe per day? I would really appreciate everyone putting a number here, and no calculation and accountant stuff and multiplying by 12 and how many hours and minutes. Just put a number. I want to see numbers flying by here like lightning. How many times do you breathe per day? Jess Holiday, 25,000. Mary Rowan, 25,000. Alexander Nis, 28. Alexander Guches, 25,000. All these people have read my book, I think. They got the material up front because we got 32,000, 4,000, 2,000, 50,000. Now the numbers come. I appreciate you putting a number because it's not so relevant what the number is. 1 billion times a day, that's maybe a little bit too much. Then you're really stressed. The point is we do this so much without thinking about it. And that is where this sentence comes in, conscious breathing, right? Let's just take a moment, every single person on this call today connecting, because truly in these crazy COVID times, the world will never be the same as in the past. And moving forward, you and your company are going to develop much more virtually. You're going to be having meetings online. You're going to meet across time zones, across religions, across borders you never did before. And it's not just a talk like this with a voice. It's with your body language. It's with your mind. It's with your heart and soul, right? And breathing is the underlying foundation of all of that. So let's breathe in with our nose. Slight pause and then breathe out and say, ah. That's also a universal sound across all religions, across historical times. Ah, a sigh, right? Letting go. And I'll explain why this is so important. Now, when you breathe like this, you already have an unfair advantage to yourself because you feel the relaxation coming, you feel the smile coming. And it also goes for your team. When you're relaxed, when you're composed and in control and conscious, aware of your breathing, those rings, those eccentric rings will spread out not only in your office, but your organization, in your region, in your country, right? So it has a global effect, truly. When you start to become more conscious about this life magic of breathing, right? It's what keeps you alive. You don't have to be a biologist, a professor to know that is true. Right, so that is why it's important. We breathe 25 to 30,000 times each day. Now, the sad part, if we could say it in that sense, is that not many people are aware of how they breathe. Meaning, many people are chest breathers, they're mouth breathers. And why is this? It's because we've never been taught in school, in college, in whatever fancy university you went to, even at medical school, how to breathe correctly. This is something I want to correct, and I want to be remembered as someone, at least, who contributed to changing the world for the better with more consciousness and awareness on how important breathing is for our spiritual life, our physical well-being, and our mental well-being. So if you get this first part, that conscious breathing is about being aware of how you breathe, and today I'm going to show you simple ways how you can change breathing so that your mind changes, so that your whole physiology and your anatomy changes, right? In other words, you get the upper hand of a stressful situation. And this is a crazy world we live in now. I think we can all agree. So if you got that first part, why is conscious breathing important? It's because you're not used to think about it, right? And you have never been taught to breathe correctly. So give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. And let me just tell you right now, if you're a mouth breather, if you're breathing with your chest, you're really putting yourself at risk, and you're not living your best and your longest positive life. You're not having longevity and strength and the resilience you could have, because you're more on the fight and flight, not so much in the rest and digest, in the recovery system. And that is because the world is a bit skewed, it's a bit off balance, and we live in this hectic day and age with social media, with things blinging all over the place, and we don't connect with ourselves and nature. So I would say most people, and that is every single one of you here listening today, is probably breathing about 70% of your max capacity, meaning 30% goes straight in the bin, in the trash can. Isn't that a shame? It's your life energy. You're only here for one life, as we know for now. So why not make the best out of it? Make the best of your breath. Every single breath counts. You can't breathe for yesterday. You can't breathe for tomorrow. Make the best of it. Make every breath count. Frederick, if you would be kind to move to the next. Today I'll be talking from the background and the philosophy and the mission I'm on, and I call it Breatheology. So we have developed a method that is a crossroad between ancient wisdom. I highly respect and have a profound interest in ancient traditions. So whether it's Chinese medicine, Sanskrit, yogic traditions, from the Upanishads and all the Vedas, whether it's from Southeast Asia, so more the Japanese martial arts. Ki, chi is the word for life energy. In India, they use prana. So pranayama, for those of you who do yoga and know that that means the control or regulation of life force. It's actually what Luke Skywalker and the Star Wars movies were based upon. If you go a bit deeper into those movies, it's the life force that unites us all. And in pranayama or breathology, we teach to control the life force. So it starts with airflow control, right? So breathing with your nose. It's a beautiful filter. It creates the right temperature. It gets the air up touching your brain, so your brain is recognizing subconsciously that you're actually breathing and doing it the right way. And it also gives you the right airflow and the right speed of air into your lungs. Very important fact here in these COVID times. As you might have known if you read the text that President Summit sent out. In March, when COVID hit the world, I was actually in Asia in February, March, because I just moved to Malaysia. I got a Malaysian residency. Very happy about that. But when that struck, I think the WHO and the politicians and doctors, in some sense, worldwide, failed greatly. I was missing guidance. I was missing help to everyday people on how to manage a stressful situation. There was no talk about physical activity because I was in lockdown in Spain. So how do you move every day? Why is that important for your digestion, for your lymphatic system, which is a great part of your immune system, to be strong and be able to defend against things that come into your body, microorganisms, such as viruses or vira, as they're called in plural, bacteria, fungus, and so forth. Now, when you breathe with your nose, you create something called nitrogen oxide. It's toxic in high concentrations, but in the body it's perfect, as nature often is. And when you breathe with your nose, nitrogen oxide or nitric oxide, NO, you can look it up, it goes into your lungs, it opens the alveoli, the little millions of rosebuds, little flowers in your lungs, where the oxygen jumps into your bloodstream. Now, this is extremely important because nitrogen oxide is a vasodilator. It opens the lungs. In other words, when you breathe with your nose, you do yourself a huge favor and improve and optimize your oxygenization. You get more oxygen into your bloodstream, meaning you're more resilient to things coming into your body, and your body is like running on a high gas, octane gas, okay? That's why it's so important. We also have the aspect of peak performance. I love freediving, holding my breath where it's deep or long or just lying still and sleeping. And I've taken the performance element into the breathology method because in business or life in general, if you can perform, if you can optimize your movement, your thinking, you get a longer way, right? So that's the second element. Third element is science. I've been a little guinea pig for the last 25 years. So modern science is a very important pillar. So we base things on fact, not on feelings. Like you probably agree that in many countries, all this mask discussion, whether you're pro or against, that's not the discussion we're going to have today. But what is the scientific evidence? We all know if you have a brain, you know that the virus, the coronavirus, has been here for thousands of years, and it's much smaller than any mask. So it goes through the mask. So that's just a scientific fact. We don't have to argue about it. It's physics, right? So I miss scientific facts and proportionality in this whole thing where you shut down the world and give kids anxiety and fear and blame and guilt for lifetimes. You know, I really think we're on a wrong track. So in March, we created the Breatheology breath training in Corona crisis. We did that within a few days. I think the 20th of March, we launched this program. It's free for you to join as well on the main page of breatheology.com. And we also gave the book away, as Frederick said. It's correct. We have it in 10 languages, Chinese, Arabic, French, Italian, and we gave that to the world. I felt that was the best I could do at that time, since I've been using all my life to develop skills in breathing and how to help people. And breathology is that crossroad of taking the ancient wisdom, the peak performance, and modern science and making it compelling and applicable to an everyday situation, right? That is the context of breathology. So we can move to the next. A little science, okay, so just go to the next, Frederick. It's just some basic information, but you'd probably be surprised to know how you breathe, right? It's not what you think. Inhalation, do it with me. With the nose, right? But it's active. So in fact, breathing is stressful. Maybe you've never thought about it, and your coach at the fitness center or at the yoga center tells you to breathe, but they don't tell you how. It's very important how to breathe correctly, right? So the breathing and the focus point for you should be passive, the exhale. That is where you let go, where you lower the blood pressure, where you lower the levels of adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones in your body. So that is the first really important takeaway message, along with the nose breathing. The nose is for breathing, the mouth is for eating. Passive exhale. So when you think about breathing, think more about how you exhale and let go, how you stress and relax, instead of how you take air and take things. Next one, please, Frederick. Lung training. Now, if you read a medical book, it says you can expand your lung volume or train your lung volume. You can. We've proven this over and over again, and more scientific papers are coming out on this, right? And we do that a lot in freediving because we're compressed underwater, especially when we go deep. So we have developed methods, for example, breathing with the tongue, only the tongue. So you see what I did there, right? So only feeling like a bicycle with pumping the tire, and I can go beyond 14 liters. So just an example that, science is kind of slow and old fashioned, and we have to use new ways of really helping. So of course, if you're paralyzed, I know people that are in ventilators, mechanical ventilators, they can't breathe for themselves. With the tongue, you can actually breathe. That's also for people with severe COPD and things like this. Next one, please. All right, little exercise for us, but I want you to recognize two things. When you breathe, your breathing looks like waves. It should look like waves on the ocean, right? Breathing in, you can do it with me, and breathing out, okay? There are 4 phases in breathing, right? Not 2. Breathing in, slight pause, coming down, do it with me. You can put sounds on, don't be nervous, don't be shy, and then a pause again when you land. So 4 phases in breathing. I think this is not taught really anywhere. This is how you should breathe. Whether the pause is longer or shorter doesn't matter. If you have no pause, I can tell you right now, that is the blueprint of stress breathing. So whether you're running, so it's physical stress, which is good, you're training yourself, or the correct way of running with the nose, right? Or if you're angry, upset, right? Losing your mind, losing your temper, aggression, it's in and out. I told you to do it now. I'm not going to repeat myself. That is an aggressive, very stressed breathing with no pause. It looks like peaks and mountain peaks, right? That is a wrong breathing. Look at your colleagues. If they're breathing like that, please guide them and help them. Let's do this exercise together. Sit up straight. Breathe in 1 time. Breathe out, close your throat, and then start the movie here. And we train the diaphragm. This is your breathing muscle. We all have this muscle, right? So I want you to get to know your diaphragm. It's the most important muscle you have next to your heart, right? So lift the diaphragm, roll it from the right to the left. Okay, rotate the other way around. Go a bit deeper. You have some ligaments going down in your lower areas, your lower chakras, or chakras as they're called. So all the way down, you have these little rubber bands connecting to your deeper primal areas, right? Your reproductive areas. Very, very important that you get your diaphragm strengthened. And the reason I show this exercise is today because you can all do this exercise. You might be impressed. You might think, wow, this is crazy. I can never do it. You absolutely can. But you must take baby steps. That's one of the philosophies in Breatheology. So this is something you'll learn in the future, maybe not today, but you have this amazing gift of being able to moving and stretching your diaphragm, and then breathing every day becomes more easy. And it goes with you into the night. You sleep better and you're more restored and fresh in the morning. Next one, please, Frederick. The vagus nerve. I want to introduce you to the most important nerve in my mind. It's the 10th cranial nerve, number 10, nice, round 10. It runs from the back of your neck, so from the lower part of your brain, and it runs into your throat, into your tongue, into your lungs, and into your heart, and into all your internal digestive organs. So all the organs that are kind of like the engine of the car, the oil filter, the air filter, the gas tank, everything that helps you digest food and clear toxins, the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, all that is massaged when you breathe and use the diaphragm in normal breathing. And when you do the exercise I did before, it gets an even more deep massage, okay? So vagus nervus, or the vagus nerve, is very important because It creates what we have dubbed relax on demand. Now, if you could relax on demand, wouldn't that be wonderful? That is what I'm here to teach you today. You can. When you breathe in, make a slight pause and then exhale slowly. With air flow control, you trigger the vagus nerve. You turn it on naturally. It lowers your heart rate. It lowers your blood pressure. No need for statins and all this medical crap. You can help to heal or cure yourself, or at least stay as strong and healthy as possible. So the vagus nerve turned on when you slow down your breathing and relax, especially on the exhale. Let's go to the next one. Okay, mind control and stress resilience. In my humble opinion, there's no better way to make self-management and then from there develop your team when you know to manage yourself than holding your breath. If you're interested, I did a TED Talk last year called Breath Holding is the New Black. You can find it online on TED, of course, TEDx, if you know that platform. It's a beautiful platform, just like President Summit, giving nice lectures for free to the world about an important or interesting topic. But I think breath holding is the new black. And I actually predict that within 5 to 10 years, a Nobel Prize will be given to someone, not myself, but someone in science who can actually prove the missing dots, the missing links between breathing, breath holding, everyday health, and stress, because stress is the biggest killer of the world. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer, much higher than corona that we're freaking out about now. So why not do something about it, okay? It also has to do with your mind, if you're depressed, with obesity, and so forth and so forth. What you see here in front of you is a breath hold I did many, many years ago. I was actually equaling the world record here in a long breath hold. But I want to go through the process with you quickly. It's a breathe up first, right? You breathe. This explains why free divers that hold their breath actually know really well how to breathe, because if you don't know how to breathe, you can't hold your breath. Make sense? Sounds like a paradox, but it's not. Then comes the easy phase, right? You hold your breath, you have plenty of oxygen, no problem with the CO2, you're good. This is normal life. You're cruising along, life is good. Then something happens. Corona, your company goes bankrupt, you have lose a loved one in your family. Something unexpected happens, struggle phase. That is what is called in freediving a struggle phase. That is when the CO2 rises to sky-high levels and your brain starts telling you, you must breathe now or you're gonna die. So CO2 is the driver for the breathing reflex. It's not low oxygen, okay? So the struggle phase is here compared to something that's happening in life. Now the magic is about to reveal itself. In freediving, in breath holding, and by the way, never hold your breath alone underwater. This is meant on dry land for you, on your couch, on your yoga mat. When you can learn to stay controlled and composed and comfortable in a very uncomfortable situation, you have the upper edge. And when you practice with breath holding, you go against the strongest reflex of life, which is breathing. So when you're in the struggle phase, yet know how to do relax on demand, not by exhaling slowly, but by controlling your mind, you know you have mind control because your body is relaxing and accepting the jumping diaphragm that's telling you you're gonna die, but you're not, because you're smarter than that. You know you still have oxygen reserves. It just feels like you're gonna die. And I'm sure many of you listening today with your team or your company are struggling and feel like this is the end of the world. It is not, even though it might feel so. Then the recovery phase, you come out on the other side, you found out it wasn't this crazy, okay, Corona didn't kill all children in the world, we're good, it's not the Ebola virus, it's not the, Black Death. Okay, we made it through, thank God. Then how do you recover? How do you breathe to recover as quickly as possible? Meaning gathering your team, gathering yourself. If you're doing CrossFit or athletics, how do you recover fast to be ready for the next hit or the next run? Okay, please move on. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to talk about breath holding so much today. I just want to introduce people. This was the Guinness World Record I did in 2010. I did 20 minutes and 10 seconds on April 1st to make it a bit fun. We can't be so serious. That's why I always have my cat with me as well, my little Lucky Charm. And I was the first in the world ever to break the magical ceiling of 20 minutes breath holding underwater. I did it in the Shark Tank to make it a bit interesting, especially for the poor kids watching, because watching any grown-up man sleeping for 20 minutes is frankly speaking very boring. So I tried to, build a story around when I do a world record performance. And in this case, I wanted to break 20 minutes. But my point of putting this photo today, even though I was not going to talk about the mammalian dive response and all this magic we can do for health with breath holding, It's to talk about the mind control. If you cannot control your mind, it's very obvious you're not going to stay underwater and hold your breath for 20 minutes. It was a huge challenge for me. I had a great coach there, Bill Stromberg. I had a lot of people rooting for me, and nobody had ever done this before. So now more people have done it. I've done 21 minutes on History Channel. I've done 22 minutes on Discovery Channel when I was crowned the ultimate superhuman. Other people have beat my record. Records are made to be beaten. The point is, when you're the first, it's uncharted territory. It's very difficult. This is also one thing that earned me a place in the Explorers Club in New York, and I'm very proud about that. People have gone to the moon, to the depth of the ocean, to the highest mountains, and changing life for mankind. So move to the next one, please. Sharks are cute, Jim Ling says, saying, yes, it's true. They're just fishes, right? They don't eat you. All right, so mind control could also be an uncomfortable situation. I'm sure you can agree in your company. So I'll show you what might be considered uncomfortable and stressful to many people and how I navigate through that. Please, Frederick.
And then I start swimming. Then I find the perfect balance between arms and breaststroke leg. It's like a frog kick. And I have to optimize my technique so I don't waste oxygen.
And I have to optimize my technique so I don't waste oxygen.
More and more.
And then I glide more and more.
At this point, I'm so numb, I'm paralyzed in my whole body that the coldness doesn't matter.
I'm paralyzed in my whole body that the coldness doesn't matter. I'm way beyond that point.
And I have to just keep working.
And I have to just keep
working. Pushing my body to the maximum limit. If your mind gets stiff, like your body, then the whole thing can be a disaster. Because if my mind freaks out, you're going to panic, and panic is what kills.
You're going to panic, and panic is what kills.
Just sleep almost in that emptiness and that freedom. I kind of do everything in a slow motion. Maybe I take a little look, where's the line? Okay, I'm on the right track. Then I know when I come to the end, I have to look for the hole. I have to find the right way to exit. And hopefully I've timed my dive and my training so that the hole is there.
And I exit with joy.
Okay, yeah, and it's
Thank you, Frederick. Is the sound back on? I think some people said something about double sound. Is sound okay? Can we get a thumbs up, people?
It's a thumbs up. It was just because the video
just mute your mic, yeah, but I have no
was going into your microphone, but it's all good.
Okay, I don't want to touch anything. I blow up things when I touch things, so I let you do all the tech. I told you already. René Balle, my good old friend here, said just mute your mic, but I don't want to touch anything. But thank you. I just saw it now. There's thousands of people on this call, right? Thousands. So I mean, all the comments are running through so quickly that. Anyways, thank you, Frederick, for showing this. This is just my way of not killing myself and doing stupid things. If you're thinking that, that's fine. You can, be entitled to think that. However, I try to do that. You can see I have a little something, a patch on my chest there and stuff. We did, do scientific measurements. We measured the stress hormone, the adrenaline in my blood before the dive and after, and there was absolutely no change. In other words, you can learn to be in uncomfortable situations. You can learn to go through struggle, and that is through mind control, and it's way too short to go through all this. And I hate that I'm kind of running through this and rushing, but we do have to respect that everybody wants to ask questions. I think that's more important than listening to me speaking. But with mind control, I do a lot of breath work before. And then when I hold my breath, I call it meditation underwater. Again, never free dive alone, never hold your breath alone. If you want to learn free diving, it's a beautiful, absolutely out of this world experience, but please find professional freediving trainers to help you. It's not a game that you do at home. But when you learn to relax and have this inner dolphin, as I call it, wake up, your mammalian dive response changing, the way your heart is beating, the way your blood is circulating, the way this whole cascade of hormones is changing in your body, you can experience bliss. So as a matter of fact, Jacques Mayol from The Big Blue, the movie you have seen, I'm in the direct lineage of him because my great master and trainer and mentor was Umberto Pellizzari. So from Jacques Mayol to Umberto Pellizzari to me, there's a direct lineage. And about this Homo delphinus, the inner dolphin. And we can all learn to awaken this dolphin. So we all possess these reflexes. I just want people to understand we can all learn to do this or similar things, right? But when you do meditation underwater and change your mind, something changes. So please go to the next one. Here's kind of a scientific proof that the whole damn world always is screaming about, especially doctors. So I'll give you proof. This is, as a matter of fact, from Italy, and it's a kind of a complicated thing, so I'll just make it brief. If you see there's something called breath holding or breath, right? So breath is on the left and breath hold is on the right. This is a guy holding his breath underwater. And what I want you to pay attention to is the color. It doesn't matter all the other things. Just look beyond the graph, right, and get the message here. The red color, reddish, means high activation. The blue means cold, means not so much. Now, when you're breathing, there is not so much activity right there. Alpha and beta, gamma, all the brain waves. So that's the electrical signal of the brain. But when you're going to breath holding and you know how to relax, because if you breath hold and stressed, there's no point. But if you can hold your breath and relax, meaning in your company or yourself, if you can be in stressful situations, but relax and lean into it, just like I do under the ice. I do it as a metaphor to other stressful people's situations, not to tell people to go and dive under ice. But you see a spike in alpha 1 and alpha 2, and the brain turns up, it lights up, it's red. It means that you go into flow. And those are alpha waves. That's the child state. That's when you're creative. Your brain areas start to connect, and you connect the missing dots literally. That is what you experience in the morning under the shower. When you have water, you're relaxing and not pushing yourself to think about a strategy for your company or the next great idea. It just comes to you, intuition. And that's what you see here. And this is what you can train with breathing and breath holding. So I just wanted to show graphically and scientifically that the brain changes the way it works, and the frequency of the brain waves is changing as well. Next one, please. So how do you develop that? That was the second part, right? About the mind. And now the third part, how to develop your team. Well, this was last year at the beautiful President Summit. I'm there somewhere in the background stretching my hands, but we had thousands of people coming to this live event, and I can highly recommend joining this because it's just full of positive people, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, startups, and highest position CEOs in the world. I was doing a lecture, and after me came one of the founders of PayPal, just to give you an example, who we're hanging out with in the background. He liked ice water swimming, so he was like getting my number and wanted to learn more about ice diving. By the way, I still have the current Guinness World Record, so if anyone out there wants to start training, I highly encourage you to beat that record. It's been standing for too many years. But what I wanted to tell you here is when you do breath work and when you do something in your team, then if you do it together, of course, you have more higher success rate, right? So here at the President Summit, we did some simple breathing exercises. And now they're all in the book, so I'm not going to spend time explaining them here. They're also in our free online course that comes with the book. But the point is, when you do this together, the breath in me becomes the breath in people around me, right? So the breathing in you, right there home listening or at your office, when you breathe in this way, the breathing that is inside of you in your cells, that's been around for thousands of years, right? On this planet, goes into your friend. It goes first into the plants. They have the sun shining and they make photosynthesis, right? And they take the oxygen, the CO2 you blow out and create oxygen. And this is the symbiotic relationship. That's why we need to protect the rainforest and have plants at our office, right? So when you breathe with other people, a lot of things changes in your brain. Your heart also beats with a special electrical impulse, and all that can resonate through a room like that or through a computer. And I think in these, post-COVID times or in the middle of a new second wave, we need to develop these skills of reaching people through a screen, but from our heart, from our breathing. Okay, so that was one example. Take the next one, please. And please, Frederick, we only have a few slides left. So how am I doing on time with your introduction and everything? Do we have a few minutes left?
You're perfect on time. You're perfect on time.
Thank you so much. So I kind of just want to wrap up. And then we can take the Q&A and we can go much deeper into team development and the trends of the time and how I see things, and people can share what they see and what they're interested in developing teams and individual mastery. But just to wrap up, vagus nerve and empathy. If you want to be empathetic, if you want to be lovely, if you want to be having a positive influence on your team, the breathing and mindfulness, but especially breathing, is second to none the best way to activate the vagus nerve naturally and have compassion for other people. This is from a psychologist, very leading psychologist, Dasher Keltner, who actually reached out to us to be able to use the image you saw before with the vagus nerve running down. That's one of our copyrighted images. He said, could I use this? And he used this in his book. So we very honored when scientists are reaching out every now and then to use our material. Now he says that the vagus nerve activation leads to increased sharing, cooperation, and altruism. And for those of you who are not native speakers, altruism means that you do something good for others without expecting something back. So you give a gift of love, you give a flower to someone, you give a coin to someone who's sitting on the street without expecting anything back, right? Just to be nice. That's it. Feels good. So that is just to kind of come back to where we started with the vagus nerve, with the slow exhalation, right? It actually has an effect on your team as well. It's not just an individual. It starts with yourself, then it goes out to the team. Okay, next one, Frederick. Thank you. Okay, just so if we have any lazy people on this call, there is no excuse, right? You can train breathing and breath holding anywhere, right? As you know, of course, I train in water. So you can train in water when you're swimming. In the surface, you can also control your breathing, and especially in cold water. That is how I teach people to endure cold water. When you slow your exhale, you come in control. You all know what happens. Can you imagine if you jump in cold water, what would happen? Right in the chat, what would happen if you jump right now in ice cold water? Not just cold like in the shower, ice cold.
Hey guys, I see some of you might have some signal problems. I think Stig just froze there for a minute, or otherwise he just jumped into ice cold water. We'll try to call him and see if we can get him up on the screen right away. He's in Mexico, so I know that the signal is a bit far away there. Yeah, he froze. It seems like he jumped into ice cold water, and I think we will have. There we go, Steve.
Hello,
my friend. Hi, my friend. Welcome back.
Welcome to Mexico.
Welcome to Mexico. You said, what happens if you jump into ice cold water and you froze? So
what happens if your damn internet fucks up? Or I'll introduce you. Come on, Blue, come on. I'll just introduce you to a few of the rascals. It's not their fault. They were jumping on the. Oh my goodness, Blue, come, give me this. Give me this one. Give me this one. So I don't know what happened with the internet, but hey, oh hello, yeah, say hello to the world. Yeah, there we go. Some loving. Oh, there we go. So okay, I'll get back, but this is what. Come on. So the action when you have drama and panic is that's all right. That's why I wanted to be up at the office, but I don't know why the internet broke. But my point is, when you have panic and something is out of control, you got to deal with it, and you cannot change it. So breathe with it and be with it, right? Yeah. But yes, I was talking about that you can just train in different areas, water, land. When I'm doing the training on the second one on the handlebar, I'm actually holding my breath. So it's to tell people they can also do weightlifting training and holding the breath and actually get a good training out of that at the same time. They don't have to breathe every time they're training. All right. And then the third one, of course, some know, some don't know. I'm also training the Royal Air Force. I'm training the Navy SEALs in Denmark and the US. And here, of course, I always bring my little cat Biff. This is recently with the Fighting Falcon, the Danish Royal Air Force flying. And we do a lot of tests on breathing and pulse oximetry and stuff like that. And finally, that's from the Explorers Club. We have a beautiful Gary every year. And we, of course, had the celebration last time of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. So even another project I can't talk about, I'm involved in some space stuff with breathing and oxygen and how to breathe better when you're up alone in space. Okay, but thank you, everyone, for still sticking around. I'm sure that Frederick and the team had some interesting stuff to share with you. I apologize, but I don't know what happened with the internet. It just died, and I called Casper, and I just went down here and I found the other internet that I'm on. So maybe take the next slide. We only have a few left. So then we can wrap it up and get to the Q&A section. So it's basically just how can you use this breath training? You can use it in your everyday life as an individual, right? So here I'm training a guy in Denmark who actually the day after set the world record in longest handstand walking in CrossFit. Sounds like a strange discipline, but it's actually a true one. And take the next one. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I love doing these lectures, because it's a lot of fun when people start to realize how much power breathing actually has and the potentiality that they hold themselves. I call this natural doping. I'm absolutely against all forms of doping, just to be clear, and sport enhancement drugs. But when you breathe in a special way and oxygenize your body, and especially when you hold your breath. I was holding my breath for more than 7 minutes and have my brain scanned and injected isotope, so radioactive isotope, and then in different areas of my brain, you can see how much oxygen is used and how quickly. So this is blood. For those of you who can see the screen, the normal red blood that you have when you cut your finger. And then you also see the dark blood, looks like red wine, a good Bourgogne. That's after 7 minutes. You have extracted all the oxygen, or almost all the oxygen, from the hemoglobin, the little protein molecules that can bind 4 oxygens on each hemoglobin. So remember that. And 4 is my lucky number for some strange reason, but maybe natural reason. Also 4 phases and breathing. Remember those 4 phases, very important. But this is actually a cursor or an indicator to the body that, there's something going on. We should see if we could produce more oxygen. So it produces EPO, erythropoietin, a hormone in the body that the sports performance, especially cyclists, we know, and extreme endurance athletes have been cheating with for many, many decades. And EPO is something you inject and you create more red blood cells from the bone marrow. But you can do it naturally from breath holding. Science hasn't even caught up to this. Only the people that are really studying freediving physiology know you can do that. We all know altitude training might or might not have similar effects, right? Because you have thin air. So your body goes, holy crap, I need to produce something to, stay stronger and alive. You can do the same by going down in the deep, in the water, holding your breath, but you can also do it on dry land because you can still hold your breath. And what does this also do? It boosts your immune system. I think there's never in the history of modern time, been a more relevant discussion than the one of strength or immune system resilience, right? You want to be able to defend whatever bacteria, viruses is coming into your system. We all know this. When we're tired and sick and haven't slept for a few days, we are much more prone to fall ill, right? It's just a fact. So when you eat healthy, move, do your breathing exercises, move your lymphatic system, right? The things we talked about at the beginning of this training that I was missing from the authorities in March, guidance to simple tricks and tips to stay healthy. Well, then your immune system stays strong and healthy. And that, of course, also gives longevity in the sense that you don't have a lot of other illnesses and diseases catching you, so to speak. So that's just what I wanted to tell people, that breathing and breath holding can also do a lot with your blood and your immune system. It's not just related to your lungs, right? It's a myriad of things with hormones and everything. Come up here, come up and say hello. Yes, okay. So much morning love that you are very beautiful and you're a star here. I'm with Luke Inman from Cortes Expeditions here in Mexico, and these dogs are just adorable. This is almost a wolf. Okay, so take the next one. I think it's the last slide. Well, this is again about team. I just want to point out that when I train teams, I train the best elite soldiers in the world. I'm very honored and privileged to be training different special operation units around the world. I also train when they do combat style and defense and anti-terror training with breath work. How do you reset? How do you get ready for the next door you're kicking in or the next, anti-terror action? And you can see here snipers, you can see people flying, you can see people running around. And I do a lot of breath hold training with them. These are the Navy SEALs in Denmark, some of them, and the Royal Air Force up there on the left. But the point is, these are elite soldiers and they know everything about what they're doing, but they still want to optimize the performance. And I love this mindset of being open-minded, of allowing people to come in. It's like a family, it's like a brotherhood. I really love to train with these guys, especially the Danish frogmen, Navy SEALs. I've developed a very fond relationship with these guys. So I love to see the best soldiers in the world wanting to do even better. And I think it goes the same in anyone listening here with their life, their health, and their business. I think we come to the last one now. We do, so we can go to the Q&A. And I just want to round all this up with the most important message of today. So we all take a big breath in. And we let go. And we all repeat this mantra to ourselves, this life mantra. A little sentence I love to say: the key to relaxation is in the exhalation. maybe repeat it with me, everyone. You can write it in the chat for those with quick fingers, but say it with me so we have connected in this way, in breath and in our heart and mind. So the key to relaxation is in the exhalation. Tell your boss, tell your HR manager, tell your colleagues that it's much more important to focus on the exhale and the relaxation than the actual breath and taking breath and breathing. And I want to round off by saying many people think I train all these Navy SEALs and crazy soldiers, which they kind of are. They're elite soldiers. Of the elite, also train world champion record holders and many other sports, Olympians and business owners, of course, from Goldman Sachs to pharmaceutical companies to all the best performing companies. But what I actually teach people is relaxation. And we call that relax on demand. And I think we have a bright future with us now with rehabilitation and post-COVID things, but also from the mental perspective. So calming down your mind is the easiest way to do with breathing, because it's difficult to manage your mind when you're stressed and tell yourself relax when you're stressed. It's very difficult. But if you use breathing as a guidance tool in a stress situation, like just upstairs when I lost connection and all these wonderful thousands of people here, I lost literally the connection. Instead of freaking out and panicking, take that breath, reset your mind. Think of the next best step, and breathing will be your best friend. So that's all I have for you today, guys. And we can go to the Q&A, and I'm more than happy to answer all questions I can do. And I'll do it in a brief way today so we get to as many as possible. Up to you, Frederick.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Stig. And while you were offline or catching your breath, I just briefly mentioned to everyone that we would love to welcome them at the President Summit, which you spoke about and saw a picture from, and that we would also reach out to them afterwards with your new course, Breathing for Business, with the opportunity there. So I've already covered it. I just wanted to make sure that, we will have this live for as long as the masterclass is on, and reach out to anyone interested. Just let us know here in the chat section right after this. But being cautious of time here, I want to jump right into the many, many questions that we've received. And I want to say thank you for all the amazing engagements that you've shown in the chat. I know Stig and myself really much appreciates that. It's about that community bond. But Stig, the first question here, we have a lot of business leaders on this call, and you've just done this course, Breathing for Business and everything. If you were to really briefly sum up, because we only have around 10 minutes or so right here on this call, if you were to sum up 1 to 3 main bullet points that you would suggest any leader or any team leader, it doesn't have to be necessarily the CEO, it could also just be the CEO of their own body, but any business person on this call, what should they do right after this call and when they wake up tomorrow morning in order to control their breath and better their business and develop their team?
Great question, Frederick. I really appreciate that intelligent question. They should, one, breathe up. Breathe up. That's for freediving. They should wake up and start breathing, meaning conscious breathing. That is the shift that's going to change the mind and the life that I was promising so boldly at the beginning. This life lecture will be, altering your life for the better. If you do what I'm telling you to do, you have to do, not try, right? You have to do this. You can't read my book and you breathe better. No, you have to do the work. You have to put in the hours, right? But it's easy. And that's a great thing. That's a wonderful thing. So wake up like I did this morning, take 4 breaths. And I knew it was going to be a beautiful day. I knew it was going to be a beautiful call with wonderful people from around the world. I knew it. I felt it. I told my friend Luke here, it's going to be a beautiful day. And I know this call is going to be very special. And we're going to reach out to a lot of people. So that is the first step. Be aware that you have an amazing body. I love that you said that. Be the CEO of yourself. You want to be the CEO of yourself. You're the most important person in this world. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of others? Just like in the airplane, right? When the oxygen drops down, put on the mask first. Then you can help your kids after. It's not that you don't love your kids or your spouse, but if you're dead already, you're not going to be much of a help, right? In any emergency situation, take care of yourself first. Stop the danger, stop the accident, take care of yourself, then act boldly and intelligently. So awareness. Second step, introduce breathwork at your work. It sounds like a shameless plug, but so call it that. Breathing is right under your nose. We breathe 24 hours a day. In 2014, Intel signed up more than 100,000 of their staff and enrolled in the silly program, right? The self-development mindfulness progress program based on Coleman and Kabat-Zinn and all the mindfulness stuff. So business leadership started from Google and Intel and those. Well, I can tell you at the same time, I'm very proud to say that one of my neighbors in Billund, they're called Lego. So if somebody out there have kids, you know what that is. Lego actually, from their HR management, had a long call with me, and they made a whole take a breath business development event. So for 3 days, I stayed at Lego. I trained there many thousand staff. They closed down factories here and there, and with buses drove in the people to do these mini classes of breath work. They had posters in the hallways, in the cantinas. And, you know, if you're a business leader, you have to act as a leader and step up and take that. So I think the next big step for people is to start breathing better and being aware that breath work is with you. And with that, you can control your mind. You can create better relationships to your employees, to your customers and your clients in even subconscious ways that they won't even notice it, but they will feel it, but they won't really know why. They feel more trusting in you, more wanting to speak with you. And, you know, so it's kind of ninja skills, you know. So I would suggest that people take breathing seriously. I see this big wave coming now of breath work, and not in the spiritual woo-woo world, but actually measuring and having a more holistic approach. So it's more about emotions, emotional intelligence. It's more about, like you said, being the CEO of your amazing body, taking care of your body. You want to be healthy and live long. And I read last night that Aetna, I have this global insurance because I'm a global citizen of the world, they saved nearly 10 million in 1 year just because they introduced breath and not breath, mindfulness and holistic programs to their staff, right? $10 million, that is. So if people want to know about the bottom line and the red and the black numbers, I think it's time that we start to actually take up this challenge of breathing with your team and doing it once a week or twice a week. You know, I think it's important that you appoint a leader, a team leader that actually leads the session, or you find a local yoga instructor, or go online on Breatheology. We have hundreds of instructors that are actually trained in Breatheology. So go out and find one in your region, because if you just let it up to people, it kind of falls off. But that's also why we created the Breatheology for Business, or the breathing for business, as I love to call it, because then it's online, it's available when you want, when it's convenient for you, regardless of time and family issues, right? And you can train, and it's a stepping progress. You can't go ahead. We have developed the program. I saw many people asking, how do I train the diaphragm? 5 tips to that. Well, we have laid it all out. And that is actually inspired by entrepreneurs like myself that have a crazy life, live in different countries. There's no blueprint or manual for that. So I've been asked by many over the years, Steve, why don't you create a program for entrepreneurs and business owners, how they can manage their stress, how they can manage their health, and manage their team. So we're just so excited about this program coming out, and it was just coincidentally the same week that you guys are reaching out. So I appreciate you and Mads, the owner of President Summit, and Casper and the whole team behind it, for all your wonderful work. But my first tip, be aware that breathing is something you can control, but you have to train it.
Absolutely amazing, and the honor is totally on our side, Steve. I know we were supposed to stop now because an hour had actually gone by, but I want to just stay with it for one more question before we delve into the lightning round, as we had a bit of a delay there. So I want to give people that opportunity. We've just outlined what it is that people need to do tomorrow, and really being conscious of these things. If we take it to a very, very practical level real quickly, Steve, what is the number one, I guess you can call it, exercise that you would suggest that people do right after this call? I know it's in you've written many great tips on it, and you can download it in the handout section, and we'll reach out with it in the emails afterwards. But just right here for everyone on this call, what is a good practical advice that I could start, for me personally, to implement right after this?
It's not right after this. It's coming right now, Frederick. Coming up.
Okay.
Okay. So the number one tip that I always give to people, it's the same with the Navy SEALs. You know, when people think I train them all this crazy stuff and empty lung and exhale and diving deep and spitting blood, I do all that crazy stuff as well. But the number one thing is to get the ability to relax on demand. I can't emphasize the philosophical, life essential depth of this, you know, the importance of this, because we're all very good at stressing. Put up a hand if you're good at stressing. Put yes, yes. Yes, can you all put a Y here? Yes, if you're good at stressing. No, if you're not. That's kind of inborn in our modern crazy world. You know, I can't call it anything but crazy. It's a beautiful world. It's amazing. It's fabulous. It's a miracle, but it's also a bit crazy, right? It's off the rails. So we're not taught how to relax. We're not taught in school. Kids are getting just been given a Ritalin and crazy mind-altering drugs instead of just learning how to stay calm, focus the mind, be laser sharp, focus at one task at a time, and being in that alpha state, in that flow state, right? Also, we can talk about workflow. For anyone interested, look into Csikszentmihalyi Csikszentmihalyi, the father of positive psychology, a co-founder of positive psychology, and the person who coined the term flow. I know Mass and other people from President Summits are big fans of his, and I'm honored to call him my friend, and we've done a lot of work together around flow, and you can use breathing to enter flow more quickly. So relaxation on demand, or relax on demand, is slowly exhaling and triggering that vagus nerve. And how do you do it? 1, 2, breathing. So let's do that together. It takes 10 seconds. The exhale is double the inhale. You can forget about the whole book. You can forget about the whole seminar. If you do this exercise a few times a day, your life will change in a few days. In a few weeks, you'll be a completely different person. I guarantee it. I don't promise. I guarantee it. So it goes like this. Nose is for breathing. Mouth is for eating. We got that, right? Relax your shoulders. Breathe in your belly, meaning your diaphragm, right? Slight pause, that second phase. Exhale, double the time now. So, and you feel the shoulders relaxing. You feel your face becoming soft. You feel the smile, right? I always end with a smile, any performance I do, because it gives you this positive hormone fountain of youth inside, right? So again, pause, and then you inhale. And by the way, you can exhale with the mouth. The mouth is okay to exhale. You can use the lips or your tongue. It's all about air flow control. If you've never done yoga, if you're not flexible, if you've never read my book, this is the 1-2 breathing exercise that I recommend that anyone should do it. It's not that anybody can do it. Every single one, whether you have whatever disability or something in your life, you can do this. When you're stressed, it's more of a challenge to remember to do it and then actually to do it. But as soon as you sit in that taxi, or as soon as you're about to go in and have that discussion with your boss or closing that deal, if you do this for 1 minute, I'm not talking about 20 minutes breathing. We don't have 20 minutes a day. That's also why the breathing for business is about 5 to 10 minutes a day. We don't have 20, 30 minutes. Forget about it. That's like in the 60s we had that time. So that's the one. Pause and of course at the office or before a meeting, you don't have to make the sound. You can imagine the sound or just imagine the relaxation. Okay, but Frederick, just so we don't let people hanging, I don't want to hijack people from the wonderful President Summit platform, but I really do respect that people have all these wonderful questions. So they are also, of course, welcome to join our Facebook pages. I don't want to, they can find Breatheology on Facebook if they have a profile. And there, my team and I, in the next few days, can help to answer some of the most important questions, because it's impossible for you and I to answer these. I think we have had 3,000 or 4,000 people live today. It's not possible, even though I don't believe in impossible. I think I'm possible, I'm possible. But let's take a few questions, and then people can go to Breatheology and join the Breatheology page and ask there, and join our communities as well if they want to have more coaching from our team.
It will certainly be a challenge, probably not impossible, but it will certainly be a challenge for us to address them, Stig. But let us pick one last one here before we go to the lightning round. One of them is asked by Chris, who is asking, what are your thoughts on the oxygen advantage method?
I think it's great. I think the Wim Hof, the oxygen advantage, I saw somebody else here just out of the 3,000 questions. Lisa, what about coherent breathing? There are no pauses, but it's super relaxing and well done, 5 breaths per minute. We know all that. We cover all the different things in the Breatheology, in the different classes, but that's in the advanced class before our instructor program, where we can be certified instructor. So we go deeply into that, but that is not in the book. That is not in the fundamentals course, our beginner course. And by the way, we have many other free programs people can join. We're not trying to sell anything here. That is for the serious business owners that want to develop themselves and their teams. This offer you're sending out, that's not for individuals. We can't serve 3,000 people. We don't have a team of 800 people. So I don't want to go too much into that. I just think it's fantastic that we have people talking about awareness of breathing. The oxygen advantage is more about the performance aspect. It's more about the physiology and the relationship between neurophysiology and breathing and performance. It's run by a guy called Patrick McEwen, and he's a brilliant guy. I've never met him, but it talks more about things like from Buteco, from the CO2 has high relevance, but it's way too complicated to go into this now. So I'll just say we cover all of that. The Wim Hof method is more about ice bath and more about cold exposure and a little bit of breathing, but more hyperventilation, which is, in my opinion, too stressful to many people. It's not how you create relax on demand, that's for sure, because you go into the stressful system. When you do the slow exhale, you go into rest and digest. It means you go away from stress and adrenaline because you can't be in both systems at once. The body has an autonomous nervous system. It's like a tree with two branches. One is the stress system, one is the relax system. And if you go into one or the other, that's where you stay, right? And you need to balance that to have a balanced life. So it's good to be performing in stress sometimes and performing and delivering and closing sales, but then you have to recover and breathe and restore your brain and your food and your body in general. So I appreciate the question, and I'm just saying I like all different holistic breathing, holotropic breathing. I've been doing it in California. I have breath masters in India, as you will know when you read the book. I'm a fan of everything, and we try to compress all the knowledge we have from science, ancient wisdom, and performance to make it up to date, to make it applicable, not just for performance, but also for business owners and for individuals. As you said, I love this, being the CEO of your own body. So I appreciate the question, but it's too deep to go into here. I like all the colors of breathing. The more focus we have on it, the more leaders are going to listen and implement it into the HR departments, and then trickling down effect in their organization.
And we could cover many more questions like that, Stig, and a lot of them require more in-depth conversations. As for instance, how does a morning routine look, or what do you do to better your sleep patterns and so forth. But we are already
that's a big one. Bad sleep, right? Many people struggle with sleep, and breathing is the number one cure, or at least aid you can do. It's the number one remedy, and the doctor will never tell you. They're like, take sleeping pills, take this, take that. What the hell? A pill's not going to help you. It's going to make you fall asleep, but you could just get drunk on whiskey. It doesn't go to the core reason of you being stressed, and that's why you can't sleep. Your adrenaline level is too high and your mind is a monkey mind. But with breathing, you can learn to control that. So sorry for cutting you off, but sleeping is a huge thing in business and developing a strong team. Get your sleep.
It's a massive thing, and I think it's something that we could host an entire masterclass on, just going into exactly how is it that you improve sleep and your daily performance by that. But Stig, being aware that we are already 10 minutes over time, I want to sum it up and go to our lightning round here. I want to say, first of all, thank you to anyone who has made use of this offer. I know a lot of people from a team will reach out to you guys afterwards, and hopefully we will be able to welcome you all. And hopefully Stig will be in Denmark as well, and we can welcome him, and we'll all meet up and have some breathing exercises at the President's Summit. That would be absolutely fantastic. But Stig, are you ready for some quick top of mind questions here to end this masterclass?
I'm born ready.
You were born ready. Amazing. So the first one will be up here. What is the best advice that you have ever received?
That if you have a gift, you have to pass it on. That's from my grandmother, my beloved past grandmother who lived to 100 years. I was blessed to having two wonderful grandmothers that both lived past 100. That's my best advice. If you have a gift, you're obliged to pass it on. If something is easy for you, then you must pass it on to other people that are struggling more than you in that area.
Amazing, absolutely amazing piece of advice from what it sounds like a very wise lady. Second question here will be greatest purchase below $200 that you've made. Oh, that's a thinker.
No, I buy so many, I would say cheap things, but I'm thinking of my beloved late friend Carla Hansen in California. She was kind of a second mother to me. Unfortunately, she passed recently from cancer. But we had so much fun together, and she was a huge development part of my Breatheology journey in America. I lived the last 10 years in California developing Breatheology, and we loved to go to a place where you could buy like old styles, like last year's clothing. And I bought a pair of wonderful shorts. I think they were like $19. They're the best shorts I ever had, with fishes on them. And they're like $150 shorts, Billabong, but they have fishes all over them and people comment on them. So I would think that's the best purchase in the last few years.
I love that question. It's
$19, I think.
$19. I love that question. It varies from week to week. It's always a different answer to that question. That's amazing. Well, the third question comes, here's the most inspiring person at the moment, not necessarily all time, but just currently, who inspires you the most at the moment?
Ooh, all these questions. I should have almost have seen them up front. I'm inspired by so many people. The one who inspired me most was a lady recently with cerebral palsy that I fell into somewhere online, and she was so heartfelt and sweet that I actually saved her video somewhere. And she talked so much. She had very large difficulty speaking because cerebral palsy is something in the brain. People are absolutely normal and smart and kind and intelligent, but they can't express themselves clearly because their muscles are not really working. So she was the most inspiring people I've seen in a long time, because she was so grateful that her disability, as we call it, she didn't see it as a disability, but that her way of being had led her to become the person she was.
Amazing story. And I think I speak on behalf of all of the people on this call. I think we all know who inspires us currently at the moment. And for me personally, Stig, this has been a very, very inspirational masterclass and a very, very learningful experience. So thank you for that. The fourth question comes here: your best routine or hobby during COVID-19?
That's Breatheology. We have worked non-stop at the pumps and just trying to get this out. We have more than 350,000 people now have joined our COVID breath training program and downloaded our book. And that's why I'm happy we have it in Arabic and Chinese and Italian and Russian and German and French and all these Portuguese and all these Spanish, all these languages. So people that are not native English speakers actually can get this advice as well. So I found it I saw it as my biggest calling in February, March, to really step up to the plate and put your money where your mouth is. We also donated to breath trainers with a program we call AeroFit. It's like a little device, and we donated 5,000 units with AeroFit to Danish citizens at major risk, so older citizens in Denmark. And instead of just sitting and waiting, we actually got this out and people could just apply for them. They were absolutely free. So a little breath device. But I think now, since I'm here in Mexico, I'm training for a new world record. I guess that's what people would call my hobby. So that's my second hobby to developing Breatheology and making the world breathe better one breath at a time. It's my training for my upcoming world record.
Not a bad hobby to train for another world record, I would say, making us all feel bad here on the other end, Stig. So yeah, thanks for that. But thank you so much, all in all, Stig. This has been so wonderful. As you have probably experienced also, overwhelming amount of support in the chat section for your very, very inspirational.
I want to welcome every individual who joined or who's joining later, if there's a recall or a replay, because people take time out of the busy day, away from the families, away from the company, and actually sit here for an hour or more. And we really have to acknowledge that, because we are living in this busy world. So to stepping up and being interested in improving your own body, becoming the CEO of your own life, and also running your team better, I think it's wonderful to have people here. And I also want to thank you, Frederick, because you had me on the call a few days ago. You planned everything with your team. You have done an extraordinary job. You're very passionate about what you do, and it's very, very high level. And I can recommend everyone warmly and highly to go to Denmark if it's possible in June. Fly, swim, ride a bus, take a camel, horse, I don't care. Get there, because even if you're a startup company, there's so many companies that get connected with other people and get a network. So, you don't have to be the CEO of a company with 5,000 people to come. You can actually come as a startup or just wanting to be an entrepreneur or changing your life, to do more passionate work from passion and purpose. So I can't recommend President Summit enough. It's not just suits and boring lawyers. It's actually a great bunch of people that want to mingle and meet like-minded people. It's a wonderful day.
I truly appreciate that, Stig, and thank you for your kind words. Well, it's tough not to be very passionate about what you do when you see so many amazing people that are taking what you just mentioned, an hour out of their busy schedule to actually learn and develop themselves and come together in this community and give feedback back and forth. That is absolutely amazing. So yeah, thank you to all of you. Thank you for once again tuning in, making this a phenomenal masterclass. I look forward to these Wednesdays every single week, because they're so giving, not only in terms of learning, but also just the energy. And as Stig mentioned, something that I personally wrote down, always finish with a smile. It echoes to everyone. Steve, I've received a ton of questions just in terms of what the practical setup of the President Summit is. So I'll stick around for a couple of minutes and just reply to those questions. But I want to say thank you so much for your time. All the best of luck from me, the President Summit community, and all the people on this call in your attempt to break this or set this new world record. We are all cheering for you, and I hope to see you in June as well. I can't wait.